Hour 1 of the Saturday Special begins on AM 1080 KSCO.
Josh Stevens.
MZ, Michael Zwerling. May I ask you a personal question?
Well, this is highly irregular, but go ahead.
What would we do without you?
No. That's the wrong personal question. We had this scripted out, I thought, but we didn't script it out. The true personal question that you're supposed to ask me is, what happens with KSCO after you expire?
Yes. So what happens with KSCO when you expire?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Probably nothing. Unless during the next 2 hours, we can figure out an answer to that question.
I think we can draft up some excellent ideas.
Yeah, so what else, what other radio station would put on a topic like this?
It almost...
What happens to the station after the owner expires?
It's almost like breaking the fourth wall. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it was your idea. It was a great idea for the topic today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but I wonder if...
it's in a lot of people's minds. It really is.
It truly is. I wonder what the folks at 831-479-1080 think about that.
Yeah, well, maybe one or two will call in during the next two. It's an uncomfortable... Maybe it's a very comfortable subject for some people. I mean, some people might say, oh, my God, free at last, free at last. KSCO 1080 is free at last, right?
Yes.
So you never know what's going to happen, but let's start the program here.
Good morning, a brighter day is here. Good morning, may we bring you cheer.
We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature.
Get up and go, it's today you know on KSCO Radio.
Okay, this is a very special Saturday special in that Josh Stevens is going to pretty much act as the host today, and he'll interview me. Is that okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. And you folks can interview me too if you want to. Here, that's all I have to say right now.
Good morning, now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
KSCO has some of the best listeners and an even greater community. We even have the most unique talent, and the Saturday Special is something we've all grown up with or have grown to love. But what would happen if there wasn't an MZ being the MC? Who would carry on the KSCO legacy? If you were the owner of KSCO for a day, what would you do? Do you want to nominate someone you know for being up to the challenge? These are all questions we will ask on the next Saturday Special, 10 to noon, right here on What on Earth Would Happen If MZ Were to Expire Radio, FM 104.1 and AM 1080 KSCO. Full disclaimer, as far as we know, MZ is not going to expire anytime soon. Anytime soon. Anytime soon.
But you never know. Josh Stevens.
MZ, Michael Zwerling.
Okay, so in the promo that you wrote, you said, what would you do if you were KSCO's owner for a day?
So
not a day, I mean forever. That's the question to ask, don't you think?
Yeah, that's
I'm not
fair.
criticizing. I mean, it was a great promo. It's the best promo I ever heard.
I was kind of piggybacking off of your promo. You wrote one using that similar line. I forget
really?
which one it was.
Oh.
But yeah, that
okay.
was one of them. So let's see. I'll start off with a nice toughie. What was one of your biggest challenges in becoming the owner of KSCO? Like right when you started?
I'm wondering if this is going to work because I don't know. Meeting the payroll, because there was absolutely no billing on the radio station at all. It was a legacy station in terms of it, having been on the air for, let's see, from 1947, 57, 67, 77, 87, 42 years.
Wow.
No, 48, 9, 40, no, 43 years. It was on the station for 43 years before I bought it in 1991. And I thought that it would be the easiest thing in the world to, make a talk radio station based in Santa Cruz. It had already been transformed into a talk radio station by the previous owners of Fuller Jeffrey Broadcasting and Mobile Home Sales. But they used syndicated programming. They didn't do any local programming. So, and I thought, geez, there are more characters per square inch here in Santa Cruz than anywhere else on the planet. So why not take advantage of that? Why not put on local characters and capture the local flavor of the place, okay?
Yeah. What would you say is one of your favorite hosts of the past in your time here? One that you just couldn't get enough of?
I could get enough of all of them, for sure. Because, some of them are how much can you listen to one person? I mean, Rush is broke the mold. I mean, nobody's more famous and competent at talk radio than Rush Limbaugh, but I can't take too much of Rush myself. I can't take too much of anything. So
Certainly.
I don't have an answer to that question. We've had some really, really wonderful hosts on KSCO, some local hosts. I remember one host named Harry Lee Curtis. Mm-hmm. And he was a guy who, let's see, 20 years, some 20 years earlier, had replaced me on the job that I had, being an anchor guy for, when I was 21 years old. I was the anchor for the Cable 7 Feature News, which is a 30-minute nightly news feature program on teleprompter cable channel 7.
Wow.
Okay? And it was a dream job. I mean, I would still be doing that job today if I hadn't been, I wasn't fired, I was laid off, because the company, Teleprompter, had gone into financial problems, and they had decided to drop all of their local origination channels. And that was what I wasn't in charge of it, but I was like a major person there, doing local pre-recorded, but they were only 2 or 3 hours old programs. And in fact, there's 2 or 3 of those that are posted on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ZBSBoss, one word. If you want to go and see what I looked like when I didn't have a face for radio, I wasn't a bad-looking dude, Now it would be terrible. It's so unappetizing because I'm in my late 60s. So right. I would never go on and be a television news anchor now.
In other words, at least at first, video didn't kill the radio star.
Say that again?
Video did not kill the radio star.
I had no radio. Well, I did have the high school radio show behind me at that point. I'm talking like 1973.
Oh, I know. I'm just cracking wise in reference to that one like 80s song, I think.
Oh, okay.
Some of the audience might have gotten it. But,
that's where my music knowledge leaves off. I don't know why, but 60s, 50s, even 50s, 60s, and 70s. I listened to those kinds of oldies.
Really?
But once it got into the 80s, I don't think there's anything that I even know.
Certainly.
It's terrible. But
Makes sense.
that's one of the things that's fun. When I'm off on a walk or a hike by myself, I like to listen to those. And when I travel in the car, between here and the Bay Area where I go a lot, I tune in to oldies.
Nice.
And it makes me happy.
Oh, same here.
Yeah.
I mean, on that note, you want to know what I'd do if I were owner for a day?
Well,
Or more?
Yeah. They add the or more thing because you can't do much in a day.
Certainly.
But yeah, I'm dying to know.
Well, I would take our sister station and turn that into music formatting on the first day and put any local talk show hosts on the big league station so they could go further. But then we could have our own local music channel to fill the gap here and have because local music has been shunted in this market, at least that's what it seems like, because it's all these
More
syndicated.
in this market than other markets. It's, what radio stations anywhere have studios like we do? I mean, I don't know of any station anywhere. They're all in business parks or they're not standalone places like KSCO. Michael Harrison, my friend who has Talkers Magazine and who does the rap program, Michael Harrison Rap, every Friday at 6 p.m., has told me many times that KSCO is such a unique property that it should be on the list of places to visit, with the Gray Line bus tours and stuff.
Right.
Like people go to see the Lone Cypress on 17 Mile Drive and just come and tour the radio station because there's just nothing left like it. There might be a museum or two around, but we're the last operating RCA specification radio studio. So so we're unique in that regard. We're also unique in the fact that we produce so much of our schedule as live and local.
That's true.
I mean, it's unheard of. I don't think there's a station in the country who does that. Left.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but if there are, I sure don't know about them.
Definitely, and just how frequent we deliver local info. I mean, we've been on it quite well. I'd say one of our most recent best tactics was when there was the PG&E PSBS. We were on it. We were reporting those power outages and just getting that info to everyone as time progressed, and that's KSCO doing what it does best.
I think any station would do that because it's like the most major local news story. Right. I mean, but a lot of stations don't even do local news, is what I guess what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. And then we have our own dedicated news team, so that's pretty awesome. Of which you are a part, and a very good part. Thank you, and Susan. Oh, I definitely.
Simon and all the other wonderful reporters we have.
Yeah, I'd keep that obviously if I were owner, but I definitely emphasize the music part. So, what exactly made you go from video to radio? What was the click? What was the light
I was
bulb
always into radio. I lost my job, and it wasn't a paid job. It was a volunteer position when I was in high school. January 4th, 1967. I even have the tape of the last Santa Cruz High on the Air radio program. I thought we had done the best one ever. But Mr. Berlin, who was the managing partner, stormed into the room and said, "Zwerling, you're through because you don't make a fart noise on the radio and offend our audience."
Yeah,
that was that, and so I never would have taken a break from radio at all. I had no outlet until I was in college, and then I weaseled my way into the radio station at UCSC at first, which wasn't even it was a closed circuit. It wasn't even on the air. It only was on the cable going out to the dormitories that were on campus.
Wow.
But after that, I transferred up to Berkeley, where they did have an on-the-air radio station. But I couldn't get my own show because, get in line, guy. I mean, there's a bunch of other people ahead of you. Until they had the People's Park, riots in 1969, and everybody from the radio station wanted to be out watching the action, and they said, well, let Zwerling run the show, run the radio station, because, you know, he always wants to. So I did, and then one of the people who called was John Lennon. So it was a highlight in my life, because John Lennon, who gets to talk to John Lennon?
Certainly.
And so I got to talk to John Lennon and his very articulate wife, Yoko Ono. And they wanted me to put them on the air on the student radio station back then to implore the rioters to stop rioting, because no damn puck's worth losing your life over, which is what, you know, that was John's message. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so I was without a radio outlet for the rest of my high school career, which was another 2.5 years after I got kicked out of KSCO for the first time. I got kicked out several other times over the years for various reasons. And, you know, it became clear that in order to not get kicked out, I had to own the place. So,
well, what were some of the other times you got kicked out? It sounds like you got totally Steve Jobs out of your own company.
It wasn't my own company then, you know.
Or your own future company.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, in fact, that very night, January 4th, 1967, when I got kicked out the first time by the founding and managing partner, Mr. Vernon Berlin, whom I hated after he kicked me off, because, I mean, there was no person I could have hated more than someone who deprived me of my precious radio show, which was only, you know, once a week or something, but or once every other week, because there were other people who did the Santa Cruz High Show. It wasn't just me. But later on, it turns out that Vernon helped me put a 10-watt FM station for the Salinas High School District on the air. And we became very good friends. And after that, strangely, you know, when he was my most hated person in my life for depriving me of my radio show, then he became a really good friend, and then a super good friend when I bought back the station that he had sold to some very nice people, Bob Fuller and J.J. Jeffrey, who owned a bunch of other stations, that they were very good at turning around, you know, taking, you know, underperforming stations and making them perform beautifully, and
just flipping.
Sometimes selling them for 100 times what they paid for them, you know.
Wow.
But that sure didn't work with KSCO, because KSCO is in Santa Cruz. And we all know Santa Cruz ain't your typical place. Mm-hmm. Things that work well elsewhere, you know, kill you in Santa Cruz.
I mean,
it's just, place is just sort of the opposite of everywhere else. But I was born and raised here, so I figured if I owned KSCO, I would know what to do with it.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, even though we are in Santa Cruz, we still have the signal that connects with at least 1, 2, possibly more major markets. Granted, it's on the AM dial, but the AM dial always goes far.
Well, we have 3 FM channels right now. They're called translators, but you can receive us. If you're someone who doesn't like AM for whatever reason, AM has the greatest propagation, much better than FM. FM is only line of sight. If you can't see the transmission tower, you can't receive the signal on FM. But of course, every day that passes, all of this signal consideration stuff becomes less meaningful, because more and more people are listening, are tuning in through live streaming, you know, online.
True. Well, that's the other thing. With regards to FM becoming more popular, it's also not entirely by choice, because some more devices these days just don't even have an AM option on it. And it's just like, what's going on here? Is there like some lobbying group like within the big media conglomerates that are trying to do away with the AM part, because AM just so happens to be one of the last places to have local radio such as ours?
What's that question?
Basically, what I'm saying is it possible, like, let's say a big radio media company is like, we only dole an FM station, so we're going to lobby these manufacturers of radios to only do FM. Like, think of how, like, Pioneer, for example, they have the iHeart Media logo and a dedicated button on their stereo handset, and it's just like, can you say monopoly much? like a dedicated button for a radio conglomerate. Like, I probably phrased that wrong, but basically what I'm trying to say, is it possible that AM is getting lobbied out of existence?
That's an interesting question. I don't think so. I mean, when I bought the radio station in 1991, closed escrow on January 31st, 1991, and took over officially the very next day, February 1st, 1991. And back then, people were saying that that AM had died, or had been in the process of dying, when one individual, whose name was Rush Limbaugh, came and single-handedly rescued it.
Wow.
To this day, even liberal people who despise Rush will give him credit for reviving the AM radio band.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know about lobbying. I don't think there's any of that going on. I think it's just a question of aging, an aging population. And, you wouldn't normally listen to AM, right?
I mean, certainly. And that's, if you want to hear the backstory on that, basically, I became accustomed to AM just because I was out in the middle of rural Nevada and I couldn't pick up a music station on FM. So I decided, all right, why not try AM? And lo and behold, there's at least 2 different stations, and they had translators on the AM dial while they were marketing the FM, and I was able to just jam out that way. And then from that point on, I was like, all right, I'm always going to check it out now. And I'd say also, since working here, I've become more accustomed to even listening in on certain talk shows wherever I'm at, even if I'm way down south, just to get a feel for formatting and be able to improve my skills as a broadcaster. So on that note, speaking of broadcasting, what would you say was the biggest challenge in starting in the world of broadcasting for you?
Again, money. I thought that once I bought the place, I had such great ideas that, the money wouldn't be a problem. Money was always a problem, because you had to have money for the electricity to run the power. You run the lights and run the transmitter and everything. You had to have money for the payroll. You had to have money for the insurance. You had to have money for the music licensing. Yes, a talk radio station has to pay music licensing fees monthly. They're not as high as a music radio station, but they're just a pesky little reality that all radio station owners must face, and that's part of their expenses. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's reasonable. But I found out pretty early on that you can't really fight the cabal.
Yeah, now that's a big media conglomerate of its own. But what I also wanted to ask in the realm of that question is, like, before ownership became your general plan on life, before that, like, when you were in high school, what was the biggest challenge in broadcasting besides getting canned for making a fart noise?
There were no challenges because, I had my little clique of people who liked radio and looked forward to doing the show. There were no challenges. I really, great question, but there were none that I can think of. Plenty of challenges once you become responsible and the obligation is yours, the obligation to a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of radio stations that have no people at all. They're just a computer in a closet. Running feeds from satellites or internet connections from companies that provide programming service, generally for free or for barter. So you get to be the exclusive carrier of their signal on your station in your market.
Like Rush.
Yeah, well, no, Rush is a different... Rush, it's interesting you bring that up because every other talk host that I know of, other than Rush, the deal they cut with the radio station is barter only, which means they don't have to pay us real money and we don't have to pay them real money. But we do pay for their exclusive broadcast rights for our market by carrying their national commercials and not sending them a bill. See? That's how it works here. But with Rush, there's that plus a pretty hefty monthly cash fee that goes out. That didn't always used to be there. That was added, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years into my stewardship of KSCO. And I was madder than hell because I was having a hard time making the payroll then. And I said, you know, I called them up. I was very angry, and I said, so this is the way you treat the guys that that made you who you are. Yeah, really, really nice. And they said, calm down, calm down, calm down. They said the fees that we're charging, if you break it down for your station, is less than a minimum wage, you know, announcer.
Wow.
You know? And so if you think of it in those terms, and can you think of a minimum wage announcer on your station that brings in as much of an audience as Rush does? Well, they had it down pat. They had thought it out brilliantly. But to my knowledge, that's about the only talk show that can get away with charging, you know, a lot of money in addition to the barter spots.
Wow. That's a great perspective right there. So this might be a little change of course, but I'm staring at this signed Alex Jones flag. What's the backstory behind that?
For about 10 years, from 91 to probably, well, more than that, I'd say from 95 to, you know, 2009, people would send me emails and say, there's this host named Alex Jones that is really unique and talks about stuff that nobody else does, like what's really happening, you know, by the government, with the government and so forth. And so I actually decided to reach out to this Alex Jones person in the 90s, and maybe over 2000, somewhere from 2000 to 2009. He's been a guest on the Saturday Special.
No kidding.
For at least twice, maybe more. And I knew he had his own show, but I just wanted to have him on as a guest. And I can't find them in the archives. It's probably in the days when we were still using cassettes, where everything wasn't automatically, you know, digitized, you know, like we have now. And so it's there somewhere. It's in a box. These cassettes with me and Alex Jones, with Alex as a guest on the Saturday Special for an hour or two, exist somewhere. But in any case, long about 2009, I decided that enough people had said there's this amazing, unique conspiracy person named Alex Jones who has his own show, and that it would be great to add to your lineup. And in fact, specifically, there were a lot of people who asked for it, but the guy who pushed me over the edge was our high-priced consultant, who really turned the screws on me, you know, very, very convincing, and said, look, you know, just do an experiment. You like to experiment. He knew how to push my button, because I do like to experiment. I don't like to do things differently.
Certainly.
When I can't decide whether we should put a program on, a syndicated program, I said, well, let's try it for a week. And, you know, and I call the syndicator and you say, you want to clear this market? You know, I don't feel like signing my life away here right now, but if you're willing to work with us, we might end up carrying your program, and you could say that you're on a great station in a great market. And they always say yes. So that's what happened with the Alex Jones show. We called their syndicator GCN Radio Network, and I met the owner, whose name is Ted Anderson. And Ted and I have become the absolute best of friends since then. But Ted said, sure, do what you want. You know, try it out. And we did, and one thing led to another, and what the high-priced consultant said would happen did indeed happen. it attracted an enormous new audience to KSCO in the same way that Rush had attracted a very large conservative political audience to KSCO. And, you know, that had happened even before I owned it, because Rush was a fixture on KSCO for, I don't know, almost since the beginning. He was on for a couple of years before I ended up taking the show and taking over the station and keeping his show on the air. That would have been the craziest thing in the world, to drop Rush, because the station had a huge audience just because it carried Rush. Didn't do anything else local, I don't think. I think they might have had the Noon Balloon, come to think of it, right after Rush with John Muth.
Wow.
In any case, so it worked out nicely to be able to continue Rush. And for a time, for a 2.5-year period, when another station in the market that was owned by the same company that owns the Rush Limbaugh show succeeded in taking the Rush Limbaugh show from KSCO. We never. That's a good question. Ask me this question, okay?
What is it?
What was your most frustrating time at KSCO?
Yeah, I was gonna go.
Ask that.
I was gonna go more along the lines of, what was the biggest KSCO PR controversy you had to endure?
Well, I won't call it a PR controversy, but I would call it pacifying the audience, because so many people who listen to KSCO discovered us by spinning the dial and finding Rush Limbaugh, and then just keeping it there and finding that there's a lot of other good stuff besides Rush that we produce ourselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, what was your question?
Basically, how'd you get the flag?
Oh, God. I really do have ADHD. Well, let me come back to that, okay? Because I want to get this thing out about Rush. So we were told by Premier Radio Networks, we received a letter saying we are hereby exercising our 90-day right to give notice to the Rush Limbaugh show, because we're taking him from your station and we're putting him on another station in the market which we happen to own.
Whoa.
Which they have every right to do, you know. I sure wasn't happy about it. In fact, I was very upset about it, because, and so was everybody at the station, even people whose politics are the opposite of Rush's. They know that Rush brings in an enormous audience for KSCO.
Yeah. And
to lose Rush, we figured we were going to lose probably 75% of our audience overnight, and we did. And so it was a struggle. We didn't know we were ever going to get Rush back. We did 2.5 years later, when the other station that they own, which it's not as powerful, and they had no local programming to speak of, maybe a little bit, they ended up dropping the talk radio format. So that meant Rush was available again, and of course we grabbed him. I could have been coy and said, now how much are you going to pay me to take it back, you know? But I didn't want to take any chances.
Because I want to play with fire.
Yeah. I was not happy with them for not being loyal, for being a corporate, you know, the loyalty did not loyalty is a concept that does not compute with a lot of people, and certainly corporations, you know?
Definitely.
You know, here it's part of it. We're wired that way, you know. I mean, we do things that are not necessarily good for business, but you have to be loyal to people. I mean, that's the way I run my life.
One thing I'm told about within the radio business is that if you're working in radio, it doesn't matter what title you have, you're generally an all-around rookie. Like, you're having to, or, well, not, maybe that's not the right word, but basically you're an all-around rock star. There we go. You're basically having to do all the things within
Jack of all trades, yeah.
Whatever it takes to keep the ship afloat.
Okay. Well, I'm finally, in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to force myself to finish this thought.
Yes.
Okay. When Rush was taken from us, we faced a firestorm of complaints from our audience.
Whoa.
It was bad enough that we were losing our anchor tenant here, to use a real estate term. But when I received thousands, I'm not exaggerating, ladies and gentlemen, thousands of letters and emails and faxes scoring us for being terrible people, for jettisoning Rush.
Wow.
You know? And we would say, no, this was not our choice. This was forced on us. And no, you're just lying. You just didn't want to pay you were too greedy to pay what you had to pay for the license. Where do people come off? They think they know this kind of stuff, and they don't know they don't have the slightest idea what's going on. But I learned something about a lot of people back then. I learned that people, a scary number of people, are suspicious, bad people. Because we did not get rid of Rush. Rush was taken from us, and they didn't believe us. So that was the hardest thing that I dealt with in the 29 and a half years that we've had the radio station. So anyhow, I see that Rick in Salinas is on the line here, wants to thank us for carrying the officer's funeral. We've gotten so, memorial service, I should say. We have gotten so many positive emails, phone calls, letters. I've gotten tons of them myself, personally, thanking us for that. Well, of course I appreciate that we're appreciated.
Yeah.
But that's our job, man. I mean, we're a local radio station. I can't think of a much more devastating thing to happen to a community, and it's
certainly,
and it's happened more than once. But I was tuned in. I didn't. All I did was say it's a great idea. Of course, we have to carry the memorial live. Well, you need to preempt Rush. We've never done that in 30 years. So be it. That's what we do, because we're going to carry it live for the people who don't want to go there, who are afraid of this, the social distancing, which obviously was suspended even by the governor.
Yeah.
The first thing our Sheriff Hart said at that memorial is thank you to Governor Newsom for allowing this to happen under the circumstances.
That was a surprise.
Yeah. But anyhow, I listened to that entire program, and I don't think I've ever cried more in my life.
On that note, yeah, there were some real...
You couldn't listen. You couldn't listen, especially when the fallen officer's wife got on.
Yeah, there were some real tear jerkers during her segment, like the part about how he saved up to get a Jeep and then had to just spend it all on his dog to help the dog get a cure or get somewhat in better health from cancer. That was just, wow. That was a heart wrencher.
That's the kind of guy he was, yeah.
True testament.
By the way, before I forget, and we should have a promo running all the time about this.
Yes.
This is definitely something worth listening to if you missed it. And it's very easy to do. John T., our director of digital media for ZBS and KSCO, had this idea on his own. I had the idea, and of course, a day or two before that, and just hadn't gotten around to pinging him to do this, but he came up with the idea himself. So he grabbed the recording. It's a 2-hour and 5-minute recording, and posted it on KSCO.com. So all you need to do, if you want to hear the whole thing or any part of it, it's all there. Just go to KSCO.com. You don't even have to scroll. It's right there, and all you do is just click on it, and you can listen to what was the most powerful, heart-wrenching thing I've ever heard on this station or any other station.
Mm-hmm. I also have to commend the pastor, just what a voice, great moderation, and just really, I swear that guy
Renee
could,
Schlepfer, we've known since the beginning of KSCO, my ownership. He is the pastor of Twin Lakes Church. He is also, do you have that liner? Do you have that liner? This is tune it in and lock it in. See if you can find that and then play it for a second here, because that's also Renee's voice. And we've been using that for, going on 30 years now.
yeah, I couldn't find that in our stacks there, but
okay.
Yeah, I swear that guy could literally do anything with his voice. Could do an infomercial, could do TV, could do a animated character, like anything. Like, he's got the pipes for sure.
Oh, incredible pipes, and loves radio, but he loves being a pastor more, and what a non-denominational church he has built, congregation.
Yeah.
They used to call it Twin Lakes Baptist Church when it was over here on 7th Avenue for many, many years. But somehow many of the businessmen in this, business people here in the Santa Cruz County area were members of that, and they contributed a bunch of money so that they could go out and buy land out near Cabrillo and build a mega church there.
Wow.
Which is what they've done, and it's an amazing place. If you have never, it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not, it makes you feel really good to attend a service there at Twin Lakes Church. My mom discovered that. Somebody introduced her to it. We're Jewish, and they don't call it Twin Lakes Baptist Church anymore. They call it TLC, Twin Lakes Church. And it's non-denominational. They welcome any and everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's take some callers.
Okay, well, there's here Kenny in Watsonville is on. Kenny, hi Kenny, you are on the air on KSCO.
Good morning, Michael.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty darn good, all things considered.
Yeah, good.
I called on for your topic of how to. What to do in the event of your demise, which would, I think, be in late this century, because with Doc Wallach, you're going to live forever. But
well, there are other things. Yeah.
In the meantime, my suggestion would be to create a legal entity. It could be, you probably already have a corporation.
Yeah.
But
it's been suggested that we do a foundation or something, and put the station in the foundation.
Well, any kind of legal entity, and the reason would be that you could have stock in it, and it could be a combination of things. It could be employee owned, it could be employee and supporter owned. I mean, you could have any number of things. You could pick out certain individuals and put them on your board, but you could create rules and goals and your dreams for the station, Michael. You could put your imprimatur on the station forever by putting it into this legal entity, whatever one you choose to do. And that way, your dreams, so many of us who have been listening to you since the get-go just appreciate what you do and the way you think and how you're trying to make this a station for everyone. You've been doing that since you bought it. And we all support that. And it's a wonderful idea. And there are so many ideas that you've had that you haven't been able to implement, frankly, because of money. But you could put that into your corporation.
And case
and
commentary.
Have things like sweat equity from the employees. I mean, if they do extra things, they could earn credits towards stock in the company. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I've talked to one person who is quite the business maven along those lines, creating a foundation. His name is Andy Van Valer, and Andy has been instrumental in the success of a number of local companies, big companies like Netflix, like Borland. He's an amazing guy, and he comes up with some great ideas. And the only thing is that his great ideas don't really you need to act on them. So, people like me say, yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And then a year later, I'm still nodding, saying that it's a great idea, and we haven't done squat to make the idea happen.
What do you have to do? What's the first step?
I don't know. I don't know. You have to create the entity.
Find that out.
Well, I don't have time to find that.
That's
That's the problem. I don't have any time for any of this stuff. I don't even have time to sleep. I really don't. There's just so many demands on my time.
Can you put somebody with the station on that task, or
maybe,
one of your relatives?
Maybe.
So many people love you that I'm sure you could find at least one, if not 10 million, who would want to help you with this. And so it doesn't have to be you. You can delegate. You can be like Trump. Just get the right people in place and say go for it.
There you go.
I mean, there's nothing to stop you.
Well, we do have some great people in place right now, and that's why I'm wondering, why is it so important for me to relinquish the obligation? Because it's not as if I have to be here anytime. I like being here for the Saturday Special. It goes back to being kicked off for making a fart noise. No one can kick me off for making a fart noise if I want to.
Can you duplicate that fart noise for us?
Yeah, but why don't I just find the actual thing and play it?
Sure, whatever.
Because we do have that. And the guy from Fuller Jeffrey. I think I put that on the YouTube channel too. If I haven't, I should. When we were on January 31st, 1991, the Fuller Jeffrey corporate people and my family went to dinner, a celebratory dinner. And they said, where do you want to go? And I said, Casablanca, which is that wonderful restaurant that for many years was on Beach Street near the boardwalk, but is no longer there now. So we went there. We had a wonderful dinner. And Fuller, the president of Fuller Jeffrey Broadcasting and Mobile Home Sales, was sitting right next to me. And he leaned over to me and said, listen, I'm dead serious about what I want you to do tomorrow, your first day, as operator of KSCO. And I said, what's that, Doc? Because people called him Doc Fuller. He's the doctor of broadcasting, right? I said, what's that, Doc? He said, I want you to throw me out of your radio station. I said, seriously?
What?
He said, yeah, it'll be very symbolic, and it's the perfect thing to do, and I want you to do it. So I said, that's cool, and the way I chose to do it, I have a video of this somewhere, I really do, but I haven't posted it on YouTube, I don't think. I have a video of me filming him in the production room, listening to the famous fart noise that I did that got me thrown out of KSCO for the first of like 3 or 4 times. I forget how many it was, but I'll always remember that one because I didn't expect it. We thought we had done the best show we had ever done. And Mr. Berlin had a bee in his bonnet. He didn't like it at all, and he said, so he got rid of me right then and there. And all the others, in a show of solidarity, which the only show of solidarity that I've ever had in my life, all of the others who were in the room, there must have been half a dozen others. They said, well, that's so unjust. This is MZ worked really hard, for the high school radio show. And if you're firing him, then you're firing us too. Because they just wouldn't continue doing the show. So that was the end of the Santa Cruz High on the air radio show, January 4th, 1967.
A date that will live in infamy.
Yeah, but like I said, a few years later, Vernon and I somehow got to be really good friends, and he was really happy that I bought the station back from the Fuller Jeffrey people. By the way, as their first official act, what Fuller Jeffrey did, because they didn't understand this community, is that they got rid of morning chimes at 7:40 every morning. Morning chimes was a little prayer of good wishes and things that was done by Pastor Roy Kraft, who was the predecessor of the person we've been talking about, Pastor Renee Schlepfer.
Wow.
Who's the pastor of Twin Lakes Church. Pastor Roy Kraft was the pastor of Twin Lakes Baptist Church back before that for many, many years. And his words of devotion and, not really religious, but how you can't listen to these things and not be impressed, even if you were a younger person. But the first thing Fuller Jeffrey did as their official act when they first owned the radio station was pull the plug on that. I don't know why, but they did, and that single act sealed their fate in this community, because just about you don't do that. You don't pull Pastor Kraft from Twin Lakes Church off the air and expect your radio station to survive. You just don't do that. But they did, and they didn't know that was, no one told them that you just don't do that. So that was the beginning of the end for them. The first day or week they had the station, so
phenomenal.
Anyhow.
I have one more suggestion for you, Michael.
Okay.
On music on the station, your guest, your co-host there was talking about putting the FM stations onto music, and I've been talking to you about this for about, I don't know how long, a long time, but I've been suggesting that you get local and traveling musicians, because they come through here all the time, and you put them live on. Now at this point, FM is the preferable station for music, because it just sounds better although music on your AM station sounds great too. But anyway, and with all this current COVID consciousness, people are hungry for ways to hear their local entertainers and the traveling ones. And
we've got to do it. We've just got to do it. And it would be nice.
I'll help you. If you want to.
Thank you, Kenny.
I'll email you.
Yeah,
I will
good.
help you do that.
That would be great. We do have 3 FM translators now. We have the big one, 104.1, that covers pretty much all of Santa Cruz County pretty well, but not too well outside of Santa Cruz County. We have 95.7 that covers Gilroy all the way up to South San Jose. No, covers the Gilroy. I can't remember. It's Watsonville and maybe down towards Salinas, but not too well into Salinas. And then we have 107.9, which covers the Gilroy Highway 101 corridor up to South San Jose area. But those stations, they're not stations. If they were stations, we could independently program them. We can't, because they're translators. All we can do is just connect them to our KSCO feed to give us presence on the FM band, which is what we do.
If we embraced HD radio, however,
You're coming up on the news.
I know. I'm
I will
watching.
definitely help you.
Good.
I'll help you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenny. And hey, this is it's the end of the first hour. We got a whole hour after the news, right here on your favorite radio station, KSCO Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey, San Jose, including our
72 overnight temperatures down to the low 50s. Patchy fog overnight, making for sunny skies as the weekend afternoon progresses. And your KSCO News Talk time, 11:06. Hour number 2 of the Saturday Special begins right here on your favorite radio station, AM 1080 KSCO, 104.1 FM, and streaming worldwide at ksco.com, also through the KSCO app.
You know how to vamp, don't you?
I sure do. I thank all this time in the hot seat for being able to do such.
You are very, very good at that, Josh Stevens. So, yeah, I was hoping that I would be able to have time in the 6 minutes news break to go and get some delicious, shake up and mix some wonderful Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0.
Yep, and you gotta
and drink it. And guess what? I ran out of time. So my mouth is dry, and that's why I sound so strange.
You don't sound strange.
Oh, thank you.
But I mean,
I might ask you to take over because you have evolved into the consummate radio pro, as you've just demonstrated.
Yeah, no problem. And then you can come back, you can shake it in front of the mic and put the products in product placement.
Yeah, but I didn't bring my car. I walked to the station.
What?
I walked to it's part of my 5 to 7 miles of exercise every day.
This is how he does it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and so I always have, like a case of water in my car, but I don't carry a case of water with me on my walk because it would be too heavy.
Tell you what, let's see. It looks like we do have one caller if you want to throw him up on the board.
Well, no, wait.
while you
I do want to do that. But first, I want to play something that I heard last night for the first time in many years.
I'm interested.
And for the first time in many, many years. And I liked it so much that I played it over and over and over again because it made me happy. Now, I'm not sure if I have it cued properly. If it's a little jumpy here, cut me some slack, okay?
Overture, curtain lights, this is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every card by heart. Overture, curtain lights, this is it. We'll hit the heights, and oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
Beautiful.
Do you know what that was?
It's Bugs Bunny?
Right.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
wasn't sure whether you would know that because you're too young.
Oh, please. I know Tom and Jerry and all that, but that's only because I got to watch Boomerang back in the day. That's why. And nowadays, when you turn to that channel, they're playing like cartoons from like 2006 and stuff. And I'm like, oh, God, am I getting old?
Anyhow, is there anybody else in the audience that just likes that so much that I must have played it 6 or 8 times over and over yesterday, because it's such a nice, happy tune, and it has Mel Blanc singing as Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. Boy, he was the man of 1,000 voices, just unbelievable. I want to hear it again. Does anybody else want to hear it again? I want to hear it again. Yeah, but
Okay.
You got to listen to something first. I'm not cueing it this time here. What they're showing, some video of the Warner Brothers Studios and the animated Warner Brothers logo right now, and so.
Rehearsing and nursing apart. We know every card by heart. Overture, curtain lights. This is it. We'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show. This is it. Tonight, what heights we'll hit.
Okay, I won't play it 8 times.
Was that your way of shunting, or whichever word you used?
Huh?
Was that your way of shunting
What do you mean?
to buy up the extra time like I did for...
No. I really like listening to it,
You might even have a caller that can...
and I'm hoping that didn't send a lot of our callers away because a lot of our listeners rather. But okay, and it looks like Angel in Salinas wants to talk about Bugs Bunny, but Jim in Marina has a quick suggestion, and he called 8 minutes before. Jim, you're on KSCO. Hey there.
Hey, MZ, I won't take up much of your time, but I just wanted to suggest that you sit down, write a 3-paragraph essay that outlines your philosophy on how you run KSCO and how you think it ought to be run. And in the event that you do set up some kind of an organization, put it in the bylaws as the credo for the organization. So we'll all continue with the free form of KSCO in the pattern that MZ would have done it.
Yes.
That's my suggestion.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah, because that's the first, because it's not committed to writing anywhere. But all of the old timers who have been with us since the beginning, people like Rosie, people like Michael Olson, and Billy and so forth, they all know. But I guess it needs to be committed to writing. So that's a very good idea, Jim. Thank you.
You bet. Have a good day.
You too. 479-1080 is the phone number to call if you want to join the Saturday special, as has Angel, or is it Angel? Which is it?
Yes, Angel.
Hey, Angel. Thanks for calling.
Hi.
479-1080.
Well, several things, Michael. Yes, I agree with the gentleman that called right before. You need to put it into bylaws that will not be changed, and it will be stated that it will not be changed, whoever owns it in trust. Anyway, I wanted to suggest that Bugs Bunny thing that you just had on. I remember that. Oh, my God. I want you to input that into the Saturday special somehow to begin the show. And also, when Billy's talking, I think you need to get Daffy Duck also on there where he goes, "That's despicable." Just cut him off with that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's despicable. I love it.
Specifically for Billy.
Well, I think we would have to get some sort of I just pulled this off of YouTube. I emailed it to myself and said, hey, I got to play it sometime during the Saturday special today to see if people appreciate it as much as I do. It sounds like you did.
Yeah, can you get input as before the show starts? Like, I love the beginning of the Saturday special and all that gorgeous music where it says, bye, I have to go because I'm listening. I love all that. You should keep all that, but somehow find a way to put that in the drum roll, the lead up, the other times. I just think that somehow you need to input this into the beginning of the show.
That's a great idea. We would have to get permission from Warner Brothers, I believe, who owns the copyright for that.
Right, or you might have to pay a little thing just to use it, But whether it's the first half or the second half of the show on Saturday, I think it would just wake everybody up. Just not every single time, but maybe, every.
No, I'm with you. I think it should be played at the very beginning, just like we used to have a disclaimer. We still do sometimes on some shows, with this beautiful, sexy voice that says, the views expressed on the following live program are not necessarily those of KSCO Radio, its staff, management, or advertisers. If something is said with which you disagree, please call us during the program in order to help us balance comment.
You nailed that. What?
You just sound like Charlie. That scares me.
No, that's not Charlie. It's Barbara.
Not the sexy girl voice, but I really do think that would just be a wonderful incorporation, and it's very energetic and lively.
What about that Rush Limbaugh promo that we used to play for the first 5 years? I wrote this promo for Rush and asked him to voice it, and I forgot all about it, and then 6 months later this reel comes back that has some liners on it, and he did it. He did it for us. I don't know whether he'd do it again.
What did it say?
It said, are you ready? Here I go. I'm going to give it my best shot. I haven't done it in many years, but I'm going to, boy, talk about a town that needs the Rush Limbaugh award-winning radio program, Santa Cruz, California, a true haven for fuzzy thinking, ultra left-wing liberals, spaced out, sparse-bearded hippies, and arrogant politicians with absolutely zero business sense. The what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine is certainly alive and well in Santa Cruz, but never fear, you people. I, Rush Limbaugh, will relentlessly continue to do all I can to bring reason and sanity to Santa Cruz each weekday morning, 9 to noon, right here on KSCO AM 1080. Join us.
That is amazing that you remembered all that. Yes.
I wrote it.
Put that on.
I wrote it.
And then Billy will call in, and then you can put, that's despicable, right?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yes, please. Can you put that on? Because
I have to
someday,
find
God
some.
forbid, we won't have Rush anymore, and that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
If we had that.
But, you know, the Fuller Jeffrey people that I bought the radio station, it just cracked them up that we played that promo for many years. He says, they play a promo that bashes the people in the radio station's city of license. They thought that was just hilarious.
Good, it'll drive the liberals crazy. Please do it.
Do we want to drive liberals crazy?
Yes, because Billy will be bouncing off the wall.
Well, he's our token liberal that we don't know what we would do without. I mean, people love to hate him, huh?
I know, but he'll have something to say. He'll have something to say. So it'll just keep it going.
Wow. Okay, great. Hey, thank you, Angel in Salinas.
Oh, one more thing, Michael.
Sure.
Could you have another party out back, like when you had George Norrie there? That was an amazing party.
We would love to, but I don't think Governor Newsom would give us the approval that he gave the sheriff's department.
But well, now wait a minute.
Those days are gone. I mean, those. I think.
Wait a minute. Down here in Carmel and Monterey, we have restaurants. I ate inside, and the restaurant was packed the other day. We got people eating outside. Nobody's wearing masks, so that's outside. So you could limit the amount of guests.
Listen, I will not wear a mask outside. I will not wear a mask on an airplane, which I've been told is going to be required of everybody who flies on commercial airlines. Which means to me that I ain't going on a commercial airline ever again.
Good, because I would never go on another one ever again anyway. But here's the thing. I was at your powder potty in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I went through the shower. I got the hazmat suit on.
Really?
I did all that. Yes. I really wish that you would have, when you can again, another party. Now,
because I don't want to get arrested or have KSCO shut down by the government. And if we were to have a potty like we used to have potties, and our potty patio was utilized, there's no better place to have a potty than on the KSCO potty patio. But if we were to do that now, I think we would be arrested, and I think I might be executed.
They are starting to open up dine-in, though.
Well, don't do it now. Do it when you're allowed to. But this is all political, okay? This is trying to harm the next election. That's what this is about.
Oh, that's what I believe. I believe the whole thing is that. You know, if anything can finally sink Trump's ship, it's this. You know.
And I don't see why it's not his fault. He left the power up to the governors. And the governor is Democrat,
he's doing
and
everything.
They're the ones screwing it up.
He's doing everything right. But still, there are a lot of people who are not political, who are just going to look at their wallets, you know, and they're going to say, I don't like how I feel.
It's not his fault.
I don't think.
Recall Newsom.
Okay.
I will leave you with this. Michael. If President Trump gave you out thousands of dollars, all right, and then he was walking on water, they would still say, "Oh, look, he can't swim."
Yeah. No, you're right about that. But
okay.
But there are a lot of people who are apolitical, Angel, who are very easily influenced, and that's why the
a-hole political.
Well, I won't use that term, but there's a lot of people who are not political, and who will be influenced by Google and by Facebook and by Apple, and all of these big tech companies have it in for Trump, and they want to use their power to sink Trump's ship and make sure he He is not reelected.
I understand that. But
That
is
makes
a bunch of
me
kids.
realize. That makes me realize that I had reached out. I had texted Zach Voorhees, who is the Google whistleblower, to come on the program for at least a few minutes today and give us the update on what he's been up to, because there's been more and more news about censorship and how Trump is going after it in the news lately. So, Josh Stevens, when you vamp a little bit, I'm going to let Angel, who I thank very much for a wonderful phone call.
Can I tell you one more thing?
Sure.
Can I tell you one more thing?
Sure.
In the Tulsa, Oklahoma rally for Trump, my friend from Texas called me. There were 900,000 tickets that were tried to get to that thing. And he was thinking about moving it to a stadium. That doesn't even have enough room. People were coming from all over the country to see Trump. People are more fired up than ever for President Trump. This is not affecting it, and we are not going anywhere.
Well, I was, my good friend Scott D. Gold and I had decided we were going to do whatever it took to attend a Trump rally live. Now, it's probably not even as good as seeing it on TV, with all the crowds and everything, but we wanted to do that. And then the COVID thing hit, and we figured, there goes that opportunity forever. But it's happening again tonight in Tulsa. So
And
what I'd like to
there will
do,
be more rallies.
do you think there can be one in San Francisco or Santa Cruz or Silicon Valley?
Well, I don't like what happened to President Trump up in San Jose, and I met President Trump up in Burlingame. We had a private meeting with him. He thanked us for all the work we did here in California without ever being asked before the whole thing started. San Jose, the mayor up there let these protesters get out of hand and told the police to stand down. This is why you saw that woman attacked with eggs and all this other stuff at the rally, and there is no excuse for that. And that's also why the bikers, and I suggested this a long time ago to one of my friends that was a biker, and that news got around. And then the Bikers for Trump said, we will escort those people. They will, and they were the million bikers for Trump that were going to come across this country, and they were going to protect these people also, and they weren't having it. So a lot of things came out of that, but I don't trust San Jose and Silicon Valley, honestly, but he will go wherever he needs to go. Did you not see him get out on the freeway?
Who?
When they were trying to block President Trump, when he was at the GOP conference, we were inside waiting for him. He was having a private meeting with us. First as the volunteers, and then the VIP, and then there was a luncheon. And while we were inside, there was a protest going on outside. They had destroyed a police car. They were punching and kicking literally anybody walking into the Hyatt Regency where we were at. I believe it's the Hyatt Regency, there in Burlingame. And so they told him, President Trump, you may want to go to another venue. And he told them, you find me a way in there. And they said, but there's this, that. And he goes, no, did you hear me? You find me. He had to stop on the freeway. He had his whole entourage in tow and Secret Service. They blocked off a portion of the freeway. He crossed the freeway, went down a ravine, up a ravine, had to come in the back or the sideway of the hotel. And he came in to see us first. And the first thing he said, he pointed at my dog and he said, beautiful dog, my service dog. And then he said, well, I've certainly made more graceful entrances. He goes, I felt like I was crossing the border. But he found a way in there. I don't think anything's going to stop him.
Angel, someone has sent me an email that says, that sounds like Nikki. Is Angel a new name for you?
Who is that?
Who is that?
Who is that?
I don't know. Someone named.
Who is that, Nikki?
I don't know. Someone who used to call a lot, who doesn't. And I agree. You have a voice that sounds, and so much like this person. Yeah, a regular, frequent caller, who hasn't called too much lately, but who is very, very smart and very articulate and talks very fast.
Well, I have my ways about me talking fast, but I don't know.
But you are. I'm just going to ask you: are you Nikki?
I I thought that was Tom Quinn that was talking on the radio earlier.
You haven't answered my question. Are you Nikki, or are you really Angel, like this?
I
the
am
boy?
really Angel.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angel. I appreciate your call to the Saturday Special. Now,
All right.
we do have one more caller. Wait a minute. We want to invite. We want to have a board full of callers.
We do.
But we haven't. And I guess people don't care what happens to KSCO after I expire.
479-1080 if you do.
I care.
Okay. How and why do you care, Margaret in Santa Cruz?
Well, let's just say that, okay, I know you don't have any biological children that you know of.
That I know of, right?
Right. And so actually you are the Santa Cruz County community father. You do have children. It's all of us.
Oh, what a nice thing to say.
Yeah, and as a father, if I could make an analogy, there are fathers out there that have a stay-at-home wife, and they have the 3 little children, and the father unexpectedly dies without life insurance. And the mother is left devastated, financially in dire straits, and it just causes a ripple effect that's devastating and crippling to the mother and her 3 little children. So as the parent of KSCO, as the father of KSCO, you need to think and envision, what if, Michael, you had croaked 15 years ago? And we're here as a community of listeners and audience.
It was a pretty popular station then. Yeah, it was pretty popular even then.
15 years ago. What would it look like today? Say you died 10 years ago. What would it look like today? Say you died 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and you died. Okay, so walk it back. Are your children saying, our KSCO father provided? He still lives because he loved us? He loved us enough to stay alive through his wishes and mandating programming? Or are we going to say, that doggone Michael, he just up and died and left us without our beloved station that we need, that we love? You're gone. Either you're going to live on or you're going to die. So it's your choice. And you need a lawyer, you need a life insurance agent, and an estate planner, perhaps, with the life agent. And you can put this thing together where we can love you for the next 20, 40, 50 years.
Oh, and I need so much love.
Right. We can put prayers in the backpack so you get to heaven and enjoy your eternity.
That's thoughtful.
So just walk it back.
Okay.
You can live on.
I'm going to walk it back.
We need you to do that.
What a kind thing to say, Margaret in Santa Cruz. Thank you for saying it right here on KSCO.
Kiss, kiss.
Okay, thank you. Here's the next caller. Rory with compliments. I don't think Rory has ever been even the slightest bit uncomplimentary.
True.
Well, thank you, Michael. I did listen to the station before you guys assumed ownership, and I remember right when I was just starting work with a new company and was new to the area, and I heard Limbaugh, and I said, wow, this guy is saying what I've been thinking lately. And I was only 28 at the time. And, of course, through the earthquake, you guys have been there, through any of the natural disasters, the fires. You're a true gem. I do hope you have a succession plan, like all your listeners have been encouraging you, whatever that looks like. But the main thing about KSO, besides being a local, is that you allow the average citizen to call in and express their views, as long as they keep it clean. And it's a wonderful asset. And we've benefited. There's just the whole longevity, the colloidal minerals, vitamin thing has benefited my family directly. It has nothing to do with broadcasting. It's just physical health. So keep up the good work. The other thing is, you asked, why was that little jingle with, was that Daffy Duck and Porky Pig?
No, it was Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
And saying the show must go on. you know why that's so appealing, I think, to you and me? Well, we grew up with that, but also that was pre-Marxist America, when people weren't at each other's throats over perceived injuries and insults. And there was a lot of, when you said when Limbaugh, and I remember when Limbaugh went off your station, people make a lot of presumptive decisions or
it was bad enough that we lost Rush, our anchor tenant, but for our audience to disbelieve
some in
us,
your audience, some in your audience, not everybody.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
People are presumptive by nature, and they jump to conclusions. They don't have all the facts, and that's what's driving a lot of the nonsense we see in these Marxist rebellions. So keep up the good work. You even had that, what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine, in that promo. That's Marxism. You nailed it.
Yeah.
With the sparse-bearded hippies and the burnouts.
And
those guys don't. Go ahead.
It was so cool that Rush, read it for me and sent it back.
He voiced it. That's a keeper. But anyway, that's what we got to do.
There's a Billy who had sent me someone named Billy. It's not Billy Sunshine. It's different, and it's not Billy Graff. It's a different Billy. But in an email says, your question, Billy here. I have thought about your question for years. Because of many factors, I believe when you ride off into the sunset, the station will be right behind you. The plus of this is that if you so choose, you have plenty of time left for mischief. Best, Billy. What do you think about that? The station will be riding right after me.
Well, if you don't have an ironclad succession plan with a way to fund it like you're doing now, then it'll be so.
Well, just trying to get the ball rolling now, really.
Yeah, no, and you get some good advice. You just got to pull the trigger, and I think the self-perpetuating nutritional info is probably the biggest asset the station's got going for it, because it sells itself and it's benefiting people of all walks of life. Unlike these radicals that want to turn our country upside down from a representative constitutional republic into something we wouldn't recognize as a Marxist S-hole, your nutrition information is actually doing something beneficial to people. These Marxists have got nothing to offer except death, theft, and destruction. And
May I ask you a personal question, Rory?
But yes, by all means.
What is an S-hole? I just heard you use that word, and I never heard that word before.
Let's clean it up. An excrement hole.
Oh, now I know what you meant.
Yeah, like Venezuela's turning into.
And that is not pleasant at all. I don't know of a single person who likes the smell of that. I've never met one person ever. Have you?
Right. No, one holds one's breath, for sure.
Right.
But anyway, keep up the good work. Thank you for letting us call in and express our thoughts over the years, and it's a true gem. I'm glad you stuck with the Saturday Special as well.
Oh, thank you,
all
Rory.
the best to you and your family.
To you, too. Thank you. Here's Ann in Santa Cruz regarding the upcoming Trump rally here in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. I'm trying to watch friends that have a TV. I dumped TV 2 decades ago. But I have to say, if you can ever get one, if you have to take a bus somewhere. I went to the Trump rally in San Jose. I'd only seen one of a friend told me how good Trump was, so I watched one of his the debate that was almost like.
Well, if Bernie Sanders can have a rally at the Palais, what do you call that down down off Laurel Street where the Warriors play? I forget what they call that place.
Oh, the stadium. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's a Quonset hut, but it'll fill a few thousand people. Yeah. If Bernie Sanders can do that, might be the biggest venue we have. Why can't we do a Trump rally there? They probably won't want to do it because we're too small potatoes. But don't you think that would be a major statement if we had a Trump rally in Santa Cruz?
I don't think they'd do it because they don't allow anything up at UCSC, even though they're supposed to be,
But
permit and everything.
Maybe Governor Newsom would allow that.
Yeah, that's a fat chance. Anyway,
Wait a minute.
I just wanted
Maybe
to say,
can Trump? Does Trump Newsom?
I don't know about that. I just want to say the most inspiring thing I've ever been to was the San Jose rally and the Reno rally just before the election, the Saturday before. The enthusiasm, the people there, it's far better than any rock concert or Beatles concert or anything I'd ever been to. The people are so excited. He's great. It's good watching it on the TV or the iPad, but it's not the same as in person. And I really think I'm glad they're starting it up again, and the news media is just totally broken. And I got to see at the Reno rally, Mayor Giuliani was right in front of me. We were right at the front, and they brought Trump down when they thought somebody had a gun right in front of us, dragged him out, the G-men to get him out. And he was gone 10 minutes or so before they let him back on stage for just a short while. So we didn't get our hat signed. That's why I gave you my hat.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
here, thank you again for that hat.
Yeah. And thanks for the shows and all you do.
Now, wait a second. Don't go away, okay? Because I just want to make sure I've captured a way to contact you. And Ann, that was so kind of you to give me your one and only MAGA hat.
Well, I wasn't going to get a signature on it because they weren't going to come back here. The mayor from San Jose should have been fired. We were parked, fortunately, on the freeway side of the big tent they had it in. It was the most fun, high energy thing I'd ever seen in my life, along with the Reno one. And the crowd was perfectly well behaved. They closed the big tall parking lot next to the arena, and people had to park in this other part on the other side of San Carlos Road in San Jose, the main drag. And we fortunately were in a different parking spot. So I didn't even find out about all that stuff going on, attacking the public, till the next day. I heard something on the news, and I went, what are they talking about? Everybody was peaceful and calm, but they made it so the attendees had to walk past all this line of rabble-rousers that were brought in.
It's been very disconcerting to me to increasingly see defaced property that says F Trump. I walk quite a bit in the Bay Area in the city, and I see that all over the place. And there's a place, Fairfield, east of the Bay Area.
Used to live in Vacaville by Travis Air Force Base.
Exactly, yeah, and that's a lot more conservative over there.
Absolutely.
And I was walking there recently, and I saw the defacing of a sidewalk, but it didn't say F Trump. It said MAGA. Now, wasn't that a refreshing thing to see?
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear that of that area.
Yeah. Does anybody feel like defacing property around Santa Cruz with the words MAGA? I'm not a proponent of defacing property, but maybe putting a nice, attractive looking sign on, because there are people in Santa Cruz County and in Santa Cruz City and all over the Monterey Bay Area who appreciate what President Trump has done and would like to see him continue to MAGA, right?
Right.
Or now it's CAGA, Keep America Great. You know.
I think he's going to win regardless of all this politically maneuvered stuff going on. And
the only thing that has me worried is the coronavirus thing, because of all the people who are not political. And I think every one of those is just going to look at their wallet and see if they're employed, and if they're not, or they don't have enough money, they're going to vote against the incumbent. probably don't even know who the incumbent is. They'll vote against him. All right, thank you, and I hope I'm wrong there, and I hope that those number of people don't really materialize. Ann, thank you for calling 479-1080. I hope some other people will call that number so that I can have the pleasure of speaking directly to them, as I am about to do our good friend Wendell in Reno. Now, the one reason that Wendell is such a good friend is that he likes to compliment me, and I'm sure today is no different because it says compliments Michael.
You bet. I had the wonderful experience of getting to know you on a more personal basis, and I just want to tell your listening audience, Michael Zwerling is a real, genuinely nice and intelligent man, and he's done a fantastic thing for the community of Santa Cruz. His Saturday specials are informative, they're interesting, they're highly entertaining. He goes out of his way to present everybody with a unique program, and I want to compliment you and praise you for your selection of personnel there at KSCO. You've got such a fabulous staff, and the people who put on their shows, they give their heart and soul to the community. And Michael Olson and the Futures and a lot of the different people that you have, they're just priceless. And Michael, happy Father's Day, and I am so jubilant about tonight. We get to hear who is, you and I both agree, probably the greatest president this country has ever had the privilege of having. And he's going to come on and he's going to give people good, happy vibrations. And bring it on.
I wonder if we can broadcast it live here. Who has the rights to that? Josh, Billy is here. Can you get Billy to come into the studio with me before he dashes away?
He just dashed.
Well,
I could make a break for it.
He's coming back. He's coming back.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, you just get up and please.
Yeah.
And to ask Billy to come in here so I can put him on the spot. I really want to do that. It looks like he's coming into the station, but not into the talk studio. Josh is waving, is genuflecting, not genuflecting, he's gesturing, genuflecting. Billy! Hi, Billy! Would you sit down for a moment so that I can ask you...
Put you on the spot.
I want to put you on the spot. I want to thank you and Rosemary for doing such a great job this last Wednesday.
Oh yeah. You know what? That was very hard to do, but I think the public needed to hear that. Needed to understand what a special guy he was, and we were happy to bring it to the audience.
There wasn't a glitch. It was just I couldn't keep from being emotional for the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
well,
I know
to
it
tell
was
you
hard for you too.
To tell you the honest to God truth, both Rosie and I twice during the proceedings turned our microphones off, took off our headphones, and cried. It was amazingly emotional.
And again, you can Jaunty, our director of digital operations for KSCO and ZBS, has taken it upon himself to post the entire broadcast on KSCO.com, so you can, and it'll stay there. You shouldn't have to find it. You shouldn't have to scroll or anything. Just go to KSCO.com on your smartphone or your desktop computer and listen to all or part of it, but particularly the speech from his wife.
Yeah, it was amazing. And well, his close friends who spoke as well. And I have to say, I haven't had an opportunity to mention this on the radio. Pastor Renee from Twin Lakes did such a great job of running that service.
Yeah,
no, it was amazing.
He's pure class.
Yeah.
Pure class, the guy. So, and I was asking Josh to find that liner that he did for us almost 30 years ago. Tune it in and lock it in.
Well, it's right on the thing in there.
It is?
Tune
What's
it
the
in.
number?
No, tune it in. Tune it in is right on the 360, the iPad on the right side of the board. Look for tune it in.
All right.
It's there somewhere. And
No, it is there. I put it in there.
Is it on the first? Okay, so while he's looking for that, I want to ask you something else. If we wanted to carry the Trump rally live, are we allowed to do that? And can we? How would we do it if we
I
decided?
have no idea where it's even being put up on the. We'd have to take it off the internet somewhere, and I have no idea where it would be.
A live stream, I'm sure. Anyhow, that's what we'd sort of like to do if we could, because that would always add to KSCO's popularity in terms of content. Right, but anyhow, no promises. We're not even sure we'd be licensed to do it.
Yeah,
We
I
wanna
think
make
you'd have to
sure.
get permission from someone.
The Trump organization probably, but I don't think.
And
they
music.
would. And music.
Because they have music on.
Yeah, they're going to
during
play
it.
music, which will screw up the music license.
Right.
Did you find it, Josh?
Honestly, I did not. I'm looking through all the audio file lists. And
He'll go find it.
I'll go show it to you.
All right, thank you, Bill. And I just realized that Dave Michaels hasn't come and given a promo for the Dave Cave. Is that because?
He's busy with the sales, that's why.
Oh, that's why.
He's
Okay.
selling hard and hardly selling.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Okay, Wendell, thank you very much for praising me and the station.
You have a good heart, Michael. Carry on.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, let's see. Is there someone else who wants to praise me? Nick, is it true that you want to praise me?
You've had many interesting guests on, Michael. Is it your fault or is it the public's fault that Stephen King is still free?
I honestly don't know. Was that Steve? Was that the John Lennon was killed guy? It looks like he has a new phone number. But he hung up. I didn't hang up on him. I never hang up on him because I think he's a cool guy. You know, and he's very intelligent and he manages to trick just about everyone, you know, with his cogent thoughts before he tells.
It's also possible that when I hit drop to drop one of the calls that didn't want to go on the air, it possibly inadvertently dropped the other call. Because sometimes it just chooses the wrong one to drop. So if that
Maybe
was
he'll
the
call
case,
back.
my deepest apologies.
Okay, now it says silly bunshine. Does that is that a spoonerism?
It is, yeah.
Okay, well let's hear what Billy has to say. Hi, Billy. You're on KSCO.
Well, hi, Michael. I wanted to play the game that you started earlier, but I can't play it as you're deceased. Can we play it as you retired?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So
Yeah, I didn't mean for it to come out that way, and that's why the guys did the the thing at the end, the disclaimer that says we're not playing. I don't want to put out I'm terminally ill or something.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
Right. You're fine, but you might want to move on, or for certain reasons.
Yes.
Leave the radio station ownership.
Yes.
So here's what I would do with it. I would turn it liberal. I would drop Rush Limbaugh, so right away I don't have to pay those fees. That's nice.
That would save some money for sure.
Yeah, and I would use that as the announcement that we were under new management. You know, I would say we flushed Rush, and that's sort of how I would let people know that it's going to be a radio station that now will serve the liberal side. But you know what? I would still allow some conservative talkers.
Really?
Local conservatives. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I believe you. I believe you.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people of your political persuasion would not allow the other side.
Let me ask him something.
Wait a minute. Josh wants to ask you something. I'll make it so you can hear him. Go ahead.
Billy, may I ask you a personal question?
No. Go ahead.
Let's see. Would you, since you said all these liberal voices, does that mean you'd make it an NPR affiliate?
Am I NPR?
I don't know. You could have an NPR voice, totally.
got to be NPR.
No, he doesn't have an NPR pace.
Right.
No, that's for sure.
Or content, you know. Yes, it doesn't exist as far as I know. Do you know of any radio stations that have both left and right on the same station? Because people don't believe you can do it, I don't think.
Well, we do it, but we definitely skew right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Now, I think that you should be so tired of some of your right-wing listeners because every time you disappoint them for a second, they turn on you completely. Like when they thought you were dropping Rush, when you dropped Georgia, things like that. Look how evil they are. You should start,
okay. Billy,
Yes,
but it's not limited to the right wing. The left wing people are that too. I don't think you would ever be evil because I don't think you have it in your heart.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do from both sides, and that's
of course.
That's
all kinds of. You know what? We're just crazy monkeys, like the futures like to say.
Okay. All right. Well,
I would keep the futures, by the way.
Thank you for calling. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I love that show.
Okay, good. Now, with Billy's help, Josh Stevens has found the Renee Schlepfer voice. Here we go. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Tune it in and lock it in. KSCO.
Wow,
that's amazing.
That is.
Did you know that was the same guy who did the who hosted or was the?
I did not. But on the quick note, one of my other programming directions, since I didn't touch on this, if I were owner of KSCO, I would also designate a music block. I would take over the 6 to 8 block, and I'd make it within those respective areas, like 60s at 6. Or no, 5 to 7. 50s at 5, 60s at 6, 70s at 7.
You would on the big station or on the little station?
Probably big station.
So you'd preempt Flight 1080? There would be no more Flight 1080, at least from 5 o'clock on?
There'd be music, drive time jabber, try and incorporating both, basically.
Which is basically what I do when I do my 1 day a week on Flight 1080. I play the hits.
You are very, very good on Flight 1080.
Tune it in and lock it in.
KSCO.
I could never have the pipes Renee has.
You're pretty close. You're pretty close.
He's got some pretty good pipes. He was a disc jockey for a long time.
I know.
He was really good too.
Yeah, I've been meaning to take him to lunch and forge some sort of closer association.
I wish Fuller Jeffrey hadn't immediately aced the link to Twin Lakes that they did right off the bat.
I'll tell you something, Bill. I don't mind that they did that. It was a stupid thing. Well, think about it. If they would have done everything right, there's no way that I would have been given the chance to buy the station.
So that's true.
Everything happens for a reason, including the fact that I was doing a talk radio program here about taming the planning departments of the city and counties of Santa Cruz. And when I was down here, I heard rumblings that the station was going to be for sale. So if it wasn't for the planning process, which I don't think very highly of over the years.
I can tell you from personal experience, at least in my experience, it has gotten way better. When my barn burned down, they could have given me all kinds of grief, and they played ball with us pretty well. So I don't know. There are some people who are still having issues, but I think it's how you approach them in the beginning,
right,
as to how you're treated. If they like you, they'll treat you nice. If they don't like you, you can go pound sand.
I want them to like me.
Good. Then, that's the first part, I think.
Okay.
I do have 5,000 gallons of water in my front yard that I prefer not to have, but it's there, connected to a fire hydrant.
Right.
But it could have been 10,000 gallons if they, really wanted to.
Now, Nancy and Carmel is going to be the next call, then Casey and Hollywood, and then Tony and Live Oak.
All in 5 minutes?
We're going to try to do it. But I like Nancy and Carmel because she's the only one who seems to like my singing. Now, Nancy, you're on the air. What?
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
I'm going
on-
away now before I get myself in trouble.
Why-
I like your singing, but let Nancy have her chance. I'm here every day, so
It's too late for even if she makes a request that I can do. It's too late because it's 11:56 and 20 seconds. But go ahead, Nancy. You're on.
Hi, thank you very much, and congratulations on a great station.
Thank you.
Is the lock-in guy the same guy who says, "You're listening from Pinot"?
No, that's Jeffrey of JJ Jeffrey fame.
Okay, he's good too.
Yeah, you're listening
And
to
I
KSCO, serving Spreckles, Halone, and Salinas.
That was pretty
and
good.
places I've never heard of.
Right.
Another thing I wanted to say real fast is I love Bill Graff's voice. He has a set of pipes that are really, really great. And when he goes into his fake mode, it's like really, unbelievable. But his regular speaking voice, just when he's just his normal self, is a really great radio voice.
It sure is.
All right,
Yeah.
and you all are wonderful, and don't go away, Michael. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
You thank you so much. Here, Casey in Hollywood. You're on, Casey.
My friend, MZ. So, super quick, I was helping the Edom Foundation, EDOM. It was the legacy foundation for Cliff Edom. It was run by his daughter. It was a photojournalism foundation where I struck up a partnership with the LA Times to go ahead and disseminate their Pulitzer Prize-winning photography from the Iraq War, right, to spread it to a wider audience.
Sounds
We had
good to
award
me.
shows.
That's like
I
a
mean,
no-brainer.
Yeah, we had a partnership with Colin Crawford, Lee Cinco. That was the actual field photographer in Iraq. But my point is that she carried on her father's legacy in photojournalism and his values created in the bylaws of the foundation for going into, she was 90-something years old. So you got to figure transcending her father's message from the 50s all the way through the 2010s. That's a long time. And that's something that if you need help with the 501c3 or fundraising or special events, that type of thing, I'm happy to help you. I mean, I'm in Hollywood, and what I was telling, I had dialed the other number, which goes directly to the station. It was heartbreaking to hear the stories of the folks having to walk through the failings of protesters, and that sounds so political and so premeditated in terms of forcing people at a nice, happy, functional, law-abiding
It's
Trump
terrible.
rally.
God, I wish you hadn't called at the end. I got your number.
Oh, my
okay,
friend.
okay, thank you. I promised
got it.
Tony could be on. Here, go.
You got it, Michael. Take
thank
care.
you, Casey. Here's Tony. Tony, quick. You less than a minute.
Thank you for the previous callers leaving time for me, MG. I always talk of you of being the only person in the history of radio who lets a person sing a song without having heard it first on your radio station. And you've done it many times, and I'd like to sing you a 15-second song if I can.
Go ahead.
Politically correct is anti-intellect. It's anti-American and anti-circumspect. It's anti-golden rule and supports mob rule. It's a tool to help those fools believe they're cool. Anyway, you've had that on 4 or 5 times, and I never get a negative reaction.
Well,
to
because it's very, very clever stuff. Anyhow, hey, that's it for the show here. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Josh Stevens. And thank you, listeners.
That's all, folks.
You are listening to KSCO Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey, San Jose.